Okay, so how we listen live. The knowledge to move your music forward. So the agenda, for you all who've been here before, I do a little talk at the start, and then I talk a bit about how we listen, a bit about Byta, some announcements. Then the second half is what you're all here for, the conversation, and today's Corbyn from YouTube. So for those of you who haven't been here before, I'm Mark Brown. I'm the founder and CEO of Byta. I'm Canadian, as you can tell from my accent. I lived in the UK for years, and now I live in Stockholm, Sweden. So, as I say every time, it's good for people to understand my background so you can figure out where I'm coming from, why I ask the questions I do. I started at a small independent record label back in the 90s, long before YouTube existed. I moved to the UK. I worked in the A&R department at a very well-known indie called Creation. Then I worked at another indie called Pop Tones when I started working doing radio promotion, which I turned into my full-time job. And I did it for about 14 years, running my own boutique company. Then I started Byta just before I moved to Sweden. Henrik, you'll understand what that name means in Swedish. Send and receive, swap. But what is Byta? Byta is the platform enabling anyone to send and receive digital audio in a clean, simple, and secure way. So built for everyone working with music today. And what is that in practice? Fast and secure audio sharing. Everybody needs to do it. Everybody's moving files and streams back and forth. That's what Byta provides. But why are we different to maybe the platforms you use now? Well, Byta takes advantage of audiophile's unique properties, of which there are 3 we highlight. First and foremost, audiophiles contain file metadata, so artist, track, album info, among other stuff. And Byta is the only platform that reads and writes audiophile metadata, including WAV files. File format and audio quality. Audio files are unique, that some of them are lossless, some of them are lossy. We allow file conversions on the fly. So upload in one file format, share in another. And then we also offer fast yet secure streaming, which means you can't rip our links. So they're not vulnerable to plugins that you find around the internet to rip audio streams. So just a couple things that are always good to talk about. The reason we're very knowledgeable about audio is because we've done a ton of research about it. And we always highlight the state of music sharing white paper, research paper that we released back in December 2021. Jamie's going to throw a link in the chat. So if you haven't read it, download it. It'll tell you a lot of good stuff about how people move music around, especially if you don't spend any time thinking about these things. You can just read our thoughts. But the thing that, you know, how we sort of associate Byta with these events is that our mission statement is to provide artists and their teams, so you all, with the tools and the knowledge to move their careers forward. And how do we do that? Byta is a tool for sending and receiving digital audio. Simple. But what we realized is that people don't just need tools, they also need knowledge. And that's why we created what we call How We Listen. And so what is How We Listen? Well, it started out as a interview series where we interview people every week, standard 10 questions, about how they find, listen, and experience new music. And sort of how did this come about? Well, we started to get pretty pissed off that we'd read in the media, oh, like all you need to do is just put your music up on Spotify or Apple Music and the algorithm will just take your track all the way to success. You'll get tons of streams. Or, oh, all you need to do is get on a playlist. Everything will be great. Just sit back. It all just happens. And we know, because we've all worked in and around music for years, that it's bullshit, really. And, you know, there's a lot more to it. And we wanted to highlight those things. And we wanted to educate people with info we've got, knowledge we've got. So I wanted to go through, we actually have a couple more series that we run mostly every week. But so I want to give you some highlights that have come up recently. And so Sarah is someone we know. She's a PR in Australia. My biggest pet hate is being sent an EP or album in Google Drive or Dropbox when you can't listen to it continuously. I love all these apps as they are private and you can include your relevant information. I don't download demos. So Sarah uses Byta, Disco, SoundCloud. There's tons of other ones because she doesn't want to download audio. So she doesn't want to use Dropbox. And that's what we talk about in the white paper, that it's very important to be considerate of the people you're sending music to, about how they want to receive stuff, to make sure that they listen to what you're saying, because that's the ultimate goal, is you want people to give you feedback on your music, right? Another How We Listen interview recently is Paulina from the Digilog in the US. And she says, links and emails are always rough, and Dropbox isn't quite made for listening audio. The controls are always clunky. And this is the kind of info we get all the time. And again, this is what shows up in that white paper, that a lot of people just get super frustrated listening to music in platforms that aren't built for music. So we started How We Listen, and we run that every week. We started that about 2.5 years ago. I guess late last year, we started Method to My Music, which is more music production, music recording oriented. And that was running every 2 weeks. But now I believe it's running every week, starting this week or next week. So Jamie's, maybe you could throw a link in the chat to that. And I'll just read this from Justin, who's a musician and producer in Canada. It goes without saying that everybody is constantly working to be cutting edge and original with songs and productions. And therefore, keeping things safe and under wraps until release is very important. This is something I talk about when I do a lot of talks or workshops, is that, the only thing you have as a musician or a manager or label is that element of surprise, that control over your narrative. So you want to make sure that when you're sharing audio, you share it to only the people who need it. And you want to discourage them from passing it to other people, because that element of surprise, that element of control is the one thing that everybody has left now that it's super easy to find anything on the internet. So Method of My Music is the second series we've got, yeah? So now we've got a third series, which I'll read a bit about here. Like, Digital Dialogue is an interview guest blog combined series presented by Byta, written by friends of Byta. And this series explores niche behind-the-scene topics within the digital realm of the music ecosystem. So I'll show you who the first one was. This woman, Jessica, she took part in an event we did in, when was it? In February? No, in December. In December with Seema in Toronto, and she lives in New York. I don't know if that isn't on YouTube anyway. And so we got along with Jessica very well. We thought, this was Jamie's idea. Who's the guy? Jamie puts all the stuff in the chat and runs these events and stuff. And he's like, well, why don't we get people like Jessica to write something every month about a very sort of interesting subject that is important and relevant to people who work in and around music, who maybe have a bit more experience and a bit more in-depth knowledge of certain areas. So I think I've given it justice. So Jamie's going to throw it in the chat. Then this one is launching tomorrow. And so neighboring rights, like, I don't even get that kind of stuff. And so this woman, Haley, who works at this label, I believe, hers is launching tomorrow. So I think if you're on the mailing list, you'll see it or whatever. Or maybe, Jamie, you've already got the link ready. But anyway, so 3 series: How We Listen, Method of My Music, Digital Dialogue. Now, How We Listen Live, what is it and why are we doing it? It's as simple as can be. Basically, we've got all these great interviews. I've just showed you all these insightful people who spend their time sharing knowledge with us. What we wanted to do was take certain subjects or certain interviews with people and make them longer, and just be able to ask a lot more, many more questions at once, with people who are doing things that we know all of you like to know about. This is essentially the way it is. And it's just a different format to expand the knowledge that we're trying to give out, create, exchange. And that's why we're doing it. YouTube's our partner for today. Makes sense. So just wanted to highlight that. As usual, everybody who takes part in these events, everybody works for free. They're donating their time. That's why we always like to highlight, we give a little money to Maytree, which is an organization in London, respite for people with suicidal thoughts. So you can read about it here, take a screenshot, maytree.org.uk. It's super important to us for many reasons, but it's also an issue that we wanted to highlight for all of you to think about, because we know it's important to you. Mental health is extremely important. I always joke this is where I'm supposed to talk about some blog post I've written, which I just haven't done in ages. So I'm relying on ones from 2 years ago. But this is where you can get a hold of me. This has all my details. If you ever need anything from me, just get in touch. How We Listen Facebook group, another good way, just we do announcements in there and stuff. It's a good way to keep up on what we're up to if you need anything. YouTube channel, this is timely today because we've started posting everything to YouTube maybe a couple months ago. We haven't done a lot with it, so we're all taking notes on what Corbyn has to say. Yeah, so check that out. If you ever miss anything, I think it's super important that, oh, I should mention that as well. So it goes up, we do it live, then you get a link to the audio via Byta, then it goes up on YouTube, and then soon it's going to be up in podcast format across all your podcasting platforms, of which there are many. I don't know the exact timeline, but it is definitely live, then audio link within a day or so, then it'll go up on YouTube, and yeah, so there we go. More info on that next time. And then next month is Sarah Hamilton, who's done one of our How We Listen interviews before. Communities are key. Big career start local. This has been a theme throughout every one of our events since Hugh Stevens a year ago, is what's this idea of local? Local and the internet seem like polar opposites, but there's a lot to it. And Sarah's from Ditto Music. She's in Australia. Look at those times. Oh, no. Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, no, it's in the morning. So everybody keep your eye out for this, because it's not these normal times that we do when we do stuff with the US or the UK. So there'll be more info going out about that this week. And then screenshot that if anybody wants to get a hold of me. I've already posted my LinkedIn in the chat. And that's it. All right, Corbyn, where are you? Are you there? Hello.
I am here.
There you go. Let me just pin you. There you go. All right. Well, nice one. Thanks for being here. I didn't even. Where are you? I'm going to guess by your accent that you're probably in London or something. But where are you?
I'm North England, so like Manchester way.
Oh,
but normally in London, it's just at this particular time I am in Northwest England.
Total curveball question. Can you work from wherever you want? What's Google's policy on?
So we're in the office 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, officially, but it's pretty lax right now, providing you can do your work and you can meet your partners. That's where we're at right now, hybrid model. Nice.
So I'm trying to think where we should start. Do you tell us a bit about what your background is? Like what did did I see you started at Absolute Radio? Is that where was that your first job?
One of my first jobs, I did like a month internship there, yeah, like a summer internship.
Was James there, the head of music, the Scottish guy? because I used to go there, and maybe you don't remember. It's probably ages ago.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
It was like a decade ago, but it was
Oh
a
my God.
fantastic
Okay.
stop.
Yeah. So, but so how did you get going then? Explain your sort of journey to where you are now.
I mean, that was kind of like a stop-start, like a start-stop, I guess, for my entry in the industry. It kind of really started, I was studying entertainment marketing at university, interestingly at University of Northampton, where your last guest, Adam, was from.
Uh-huh.
And on the side, I was working at the Apple store, just selling iPhones. And then I started working in the visual merchandising side of things, and then progressed there to start working in the corporate world, to start booking artists to come to their retail stores. They do this program called Today at Apple. They bring in producers and songwriters and artists, and they show how they make their craft on Apple products. Did that, but realized I wanted to work more closer to the industry. So we did a panel talk similar to this, but in real life at the Apple store with a lady called Ray Pope at Universal in recruitment, who was a fantastic woman.
That sounds strategic that you got someone from recruitment in like that.
I wouldn't like to say, but you got to create your own opportunities if they're not coming to you, right? So I spoke to her, and she essentially said, "Yeah, great. You're doing this, managerial job at Apple, but in the music industry, you're gonna have to start from zero." So an internship came for Universal Music to work in their international marketing department. So I left Apple, went to Universal, stayed there for 2 years, and that role was kind of, when an artist is on tour, you would figure out which radio shows they should go to when they're performing in Holland. You would figure out which TV shows they would need to go on when they're in, Australia. And then about 4.5 years ago, YouTube approached me because they were launching their streaming service. So I took that and have been there ever since, really.
And so you said that's super interesting. Like you said, they came to you. YouTube came to you. How do you? People are going to be like, how do I get that to happen? Like, how does that work?
So that was a recruitment agency reached out. Okay. It was initially a temporary role, actually. It was a 3-month position. And I thought, even if it doesn't come to anything, I think it's super exciting to be part of a new streaming platform launch. So I took the role, took the risk, and it paid off because I got made permanent. But
and you've been there how long now? 4 years, did you say?
4.5 years. So I started in February 2018. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, because I want to go back to this. Do you know Saskia as well?
No, she was just in the chat.
She knows everybody, it seems. So I'm just like, she's, like I said at the start, she's omnipresent. So
I would like to know you, Saskia.
So like, before we talk about this, because it's interesting that you mentioned the word new streaming platform. Like, what is your job so everybody understands sort of what perspective you have and what your responsibilities are?
So my title is Label Relations Manager. So I work with some of the major labels, but a lot of the indie labels as well, Believe, AWOL, the BPI, AIM. And my role is to educate all of those parties on what the latest product launches are at YouTube, the best practices, the marketing programs that are available, but also work with them to figure out what their priority releases are. And then I take that information and I work internally to figure out how we can support both emerging artists and established artists, whether that's social support or billboards or playlisting or funding or live streams, or events, just to, either nurture the next generation of talent or to do something kind of only YouTube can do with superstar artists.
Yeah. And then did you say also you do other talks and stuff? Did you just do something the last couple of weeks? Like, do you speak
so I
to
just did
smaller groups or artists or?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So I make a point, and so does the company, to one of our big focuses to get outside of the London bubble. It feels like people are at an unfair advantage if they're living in London. So we do a lot of great things with. We have a partnership with the Northern Irish Music Prize, for example, with the I think there's the Scottish Awards, and I was just at Liverpool Sound City as well on Friday doing a talk there, and it looks like Saskia was there as well. Did you come to my talk? No, you didn't.
Sorry, I was doing a talk with Sister Bliss, so I was actually a speaker as well, so I couldn't attend, but I did hear about you, and yeah, I did go. It was great.
Okay, good.
What did I tell you? She's everywhere.
That's so funny. But yeah, like I was saying, one, to get outside outside the London bubble is really important, but two, to make sure that we level the playing field in terms of information. You know, we don't want it to be informational dissymmetry. The major labels get that information firsthand from us a lot of the time, and we make a conscious effort to join things like Sound City and talks like this. And I'd probably say I do one of these at least once a month, just to make sure that everybody knows the latest and greatest on YouTube. YouTube's been going for 17 years now, started in 2005, and it's continually iterating and developing products, particularly with a focus on the music community. So just making sure everybody knows the latest and greatest, the best practices, and how they can make the most of the platform.
So like 17 years is a long time. And when I like think back, it was just a place for videos. But then like you mentioned this, you mentioned this streaming service, and it's like, that's just an interesting like choice of words. And it's like, so before we get into sort of where we are now, like give me the evolution, say up to when you started. Let's do it that way. So YouTube started as this, and then things sort of changed. What's the potted history so people can get a better vibe overview?
So like I said, started in 2005. It was very much a place where people would just drop their music videos, or just videos in general. The first video was a guy at the zoo, and it was like 17 seconds, which kind of ties in nicely to what we're doing now, which is all about short form content, because our first video was technically a short form piece of content. But yeah, it was a place where it kind of felt like, to the music industry, it was an afterthought. You would plan your strategy around when you would go to radio, and when you would release your single, and when it would peak at radio, and then when the remix would drop. And the music video tended to just be, we'll just upload it to YouTube when it's ready. In reality, you get on average, a 40% increase in audio streams across all DSPs when your music video is dropped. So you should be really strategic about when you're dropping that music video. Which is an aside. What I'm trying to say is
note about that, because I love, we talk about timelines all the time. So that kind of info, I love it. I've already made a note, so we'll come back to it.
Perfect. The great thing about YouTube is that it doesn't rest on its laurels. It continually makes new products. So about 3-4 years ago, about 4 years ago, they made something called the Official Artist Channel. So historically, you might remember, you had the channel that the artist would use as, you know, before they got signed, and it would have their covers, and it would have their acoustics. And then they'd have their Vivo channel where their official videos would then come through. And then YouTube would create this thing called a topic channel, which would merge all the remixes and the live performances and the features that artist features on other artists' videos. And so nobody really knew where to go and which one to subscribe to get the right sort of information. So we created this thing called the Official Artist Channel, which amalgamates all those three into one. And then the artist can control how that looks, as opposed to where the Vivo manages it, and Topic Channel, YouTube kind of system creates it. So you can decide how your channel looks. All of that content's in one home. And it just makes it more streamlined for both the artist and the user. So that was one development that's great. And the other one was a thing called premieres. And that kind of harks back to when, you know, in the 80s, when Michael Jackson would drop a music video, it was a real moment. Like, you would gather around the TV, and that would be, you know, that would be your entertainment for the day. And YouTube didn't really have that. You had an artist would upload the video, and all the promotion would have to be post-release. The video would go live, and then you'd send it to press, or you'd share it on socials. And actually, that was really detrimental to the algorithm, because those first 24-hour views are super important to signify how engaging that content is. So we created a thing called YouTube Premieres, where you can pre-upload the video to YouTube. It has a watch page, which then you can promote ahead of time, and it's scheduled to go live at a certain time. So you can say 5 p.m. On Friday, my video is going live. set that reminder button, which means that those first 24-hour views are so much more positive than if you'd have had to do that retrospectively. So those are just two examples of tools that they've been creating to cater to the music community. And then they've developed on things like premieres based on feedback from the industry. So you can now add a trailer to a premiere. So you have a little idea about what's coming. You can do a custom countdown. So rather than just a regular kind of standard countdown, you can have it look like your aesthetic for your campaign. You can do a thing called live redirect, where you do a live stream before you go into the video premiere. So all of these things are continually iterating, and now I'm excited that we're looking at YouTube Shorts and how the short form video plays into the artist ecosystem.
So like, before we get into all the details, like what like, what is YouTube? Is it a streaming platform? Like, how, because you, again, like you mentioned this, the launching, like, because there's also like I subscribe to YouTube, not for music, like, because I watch tons of YouTube because my attention span is shot. But like, I only just realized like 2 weeks ago, oh yeah, like there's a music app. Like, so is that the streaming platform you're talking about? Like, how does it, because we've got, like, it's easy to know what Spotify is, I guess, maybe, like in Apple Music. But tell me how, like, because it's also this stuff we're going to talk about, release schedules and stuff. Like, do you all view yourselves like YouTube as a streaming? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, you made a good point before about YouTube was just a video platform, and now we do have a streaming service. It's called YouTube Music. It's similar to other DSPs on the market. There are algorithmic playlists. There are our flagship playlists. And that's a way for us to kind of work with the industry and make sure that the right tracks at the right time are showing up. Where YouTube.com is pretty much all algorithmic. YouTube Music is a playlist ecosystem, so it takes you out of the kind of echo chamber that you might get into on YouTube.com and gives you more of a genre or theme specific playlist experience. It's primarily audio. It is video as well, but 80% of the consumption that happens is audio first and background listening. Whereas on .com, it's primarily 80% in the foreground and video. So we call it the twin, kind of the twin engines of growth, right? You've got .com for video, foreground, and then you've got YouTube Music, which is audio and background listening. Yeah. And they talk to each other. So if you subscribe to an artist on YouTube Music, you're also subscribing on .com. If you're looking like you like a certain genre on YouTube.com, we'll start serving that to you on YouTube Music. So it's a great complementary service, and you get it free if you're already paying for YouTube Premium. You get YouTube Music as part of that as well.
Yeah. Okay. So like, I'm trying to figure out how we should do this. So like, if people have questions, start throwing them in the chat, because I think, and we'll just see if they come up later, and I'll add them in. But like, one of the things that when we were talking a little earlier that I thought was super interesting was this idea that like, you use the word gatekeepers to describe other DSPs. And I think that, aside from all this stuff we've just talked about, I think that's one of the most interesting things you said, like this idea. Well, you explain it, what you meant by that, how YouTube is different.
I think gatekeepers may be a slightly harsh term, but if you look at radio, if you look at streaming services, you're looking at the playlist editors and the radio commissioners to make a decision on whether your track gets featured in those playlists that can make a tangible difference to your artist's career. YouTube is the place where you're kind of the master of your own destiny. It is the second biggest website in the world after Google, the most viewed website in the world after Google, which also is owned by a parent company. So we have 2 billion logged in viewers every month. So a huge audience potential there, and it's as I was saying before, there are so many people there that you can target, and you can use all of these tools that I was speaking about before to create your own destiny and create change. And there's certain things. I will be sending a recap kind of document over afterwards on kind of all the latest products that we have. But by using premieres and by doing these live redirects, it's a great way to build your audience. And I think YouTube's the only place where you can show the full artist story, right? Like, we talk a lot about breaking a song versus breaking an artist, and it's very easy to break a song, but you might not necessarily know that artist if you met them in the street. And YouTube is the place where you can show that full artist picture. Interestingly, we talk a lot about music videos, and we think music videos are the holy grail on YouTube. In reality, the other pieces of content, so like BTS, tour diaries, live performances, those tend to generate 3 times more subscribers than official music videos. I think the reason for that is around being more authentic. I think particularly Gen Z want to see more authenticity from their artists, and you get that from that content versus a polished music video where you don't really know who that artist is after kind of all the filters and the lenses on them. So I think if I was to give you an action item, it would be to start thinking about shoulder content when it's released, and how that plays into your official music video as well. So can you be doing teaser pieces of content? And we call it shoulder content. It's some very nondescript word, but it basically means anything that's not the official music video. And then drop the music video when you think the time's right to give you that lift on all streaming services.
So like, okay, so to summarize this part, basically YouTube starts as a place for videos. Now it's like the starting point, but basically a much smaller part of what is possible and what you need to do to succeed on YouTube. Is that a fair assumption, that it's sort of the reverse now? What was super important is much less important?
I think that's a fair statement. Someone in the comments was saying that YouTube's a place to build a community. I think that's a really good way to say it.
They should be doing the interview. I'm impressed.
And our big boss said the other day that other platforms are kind of the appetizer to an artist, and YouTube is where you come for the main course. And I think that's a really nice way to say it.
See, so okay, but like the way I work is I watch all the videos. This is terrible. But like, if someone mentions an artist to me, I don't go to a streaming platform. I go to YouTube to see who they are. So
exactly.
So your boss's comment, what did they mean by that comment? That they're the appetizer. So that is it more that people listen to songs and then come to YouTube to go deeper, do you think?
That's exactly it. You get a taste for the artist through listening to one song on a playlist, or seeing a 15-second video clip on a short form app. But then you come to YouTube to say, okay, who is this artist? And I think YouTube is the place where you turn passive fans into active, passive viewers into active fans. So we have tools on YouTube like we have a merch bar underneath the videos now, so you can buy merchandise, you can buy tickets underneath videos now. And I think that's the place where you come to figure out who this artist is. Am I invested? Am I going to go to the show? Am I going to buy the album? Am I going to buy the vinyl? Because you get that full artist picture on our platform.
Okay, so with this in mind then, so we've got, like, I'm just sort of summarizing as we go, like the videos are not as important as they used to be because there's just so much other potential. But this idea of timelines, if people at the start used to be like, oh, YouTube's an afterthought, you just throw the video up. Like, we always, like, timelines come up all the time that you're working 3 months up front. Like, how would you layer YouTube into that timeline? Do you have we don't need to do it in super detail, but it's just so that people can think, oh, when I'm doing this other thing, I should be doing this on YouTube as well.
Ideally, you'd want to drop the music video at the same time as the song drops.
Yeah.
because that will give you the best first 24-hour views, and then that will send positive signals to the algorithm, which will then put you in, will get you recommended more on the platform. About 80% of views come from recommendations, whether that's on the homepage or whether that's in the up next section when you're watching a video. So it's less important to get, to spend on social, or it's less important to get a premiere on a like a fader or something like that. It's the most important thing you can do is lean into the algorithm and give it signals that you're doing well. And the way to do that is to drop the video at the same time as the song, so that people come to your channel as soon as possible. Following that, it's all about we kind of talk about like tentpole moments. The music video will be the tentpole moment, and then you've kind of got the if you think of like a top, if you think of like, I can't think of the word, but like if you think of like big pillars and then like yeah, exactly. So like the peak of the mountain, and then you've got like the little ones like around it. So you'll have the music video, which will be the big peak, but then you don't want it to then just drop off. You want to keep warming up that algorithm, keep feeding it content, and whether that's a lyric video, whether that's a tour diary, whether that's a BTS, all of that stuff is then going to push back to, I mean, the hero piece of content is the music video, right?
Yeah.
People are going to watch that other pieces of content and then go back to the music video. And the way you can do that is with things like descriptions and putting links in the descriptions, putting end cards at the end of your other piece of content to make sure that all these smaller moments that people are coming to will then go back to the official music video.
Yeah. So BTS in this context is not the band, it is what?
Yeah, behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. Okay, so there that was a question. Consuelo and Saskia. Yeah. So Saskia, you are right. Technically, BTS is a group, but in this case, it's also short for behind the scenes.
Yeah, so, sorry about that.
No, it's fine. What does BTS mean, the band? Just out of curiosity. Does it mean anything? Maybe it means behind the scenes, if we could.
Maybe. They do have a documentary called Burn the Stage, but I don't think it's in, I don't know if that's what it means.
Bang 10 something. Thank you. Okay, great. So basically you want to treat YouTube like any other platform. It's equally as important. It can work with all the other ones. So you drop this video, like when you talk about timelines, you talk about making other content and that kind of stuff. So this is a good opportunity for us to talk about all the things that you mentioned, like the whatever shoulder content, like, because this is the stuff I just totally don't know. So you've got this video. What else do you need to push that video or upcoming other tracks over, say, a 2-3 month period? What kind of assets do you need? Because I guess that you can also explain all the other opportunities.
Definitely. I think a lot of the time you are creating a lot of assets for socials and then don't think to put them on YouTube as well. And it's like, well, why not? The great thing about again, another product development is you can create shelves on YouTube so that you can separate by kind of era. One can be a shelf about your tour diary. So you've got this organized shelf about tour diaries, and then you've got a separate shelf about lyric videos. And so you can make it all really nice and really organized. If you've also got a hobby, if you like cooking, or if you, I don't know, I can't even think of a single other hobby, but you can have that all on your YouTube channel. Gardening. There you go. Like, yeah, exactly. Like Charlie Dimmock. You can put that on your channel and show another side to you, and you can separate it from your artistry, but still show who you are. So yeah, if you're creating stuff for socials, put it on YouTube. There's truly no reason not to. If you've got an official artist channel, you have a thing called a community tab as well. And on that, you can do polls, you can put static images. And again, it's just another way, like I was saying before, music videos are expensive, right? So you're probably going to only be able to make one every couple of months. So for those other like 10 weeks in the campaign, you've put nothing on YouTube. So using things like the community tab to put polls up, or to do put up pictures of the artwork or to do all this behind the scenes. It's just ways to kind of keep your channel top of mind for subscribers. Give them a reason to subscribe because you're regularly putting stuff on there. And then the other thing to mention, sorry.
No, you go.
The other thing to mention is YouTube Shorts, which is our huge company focus. It's our short form video offering. If you go to YouTube on your mobile, you'll see it. It's like the second tab. And that's all shot on mobile, between up to 60 seconds. We have seen, particularly in Gen Z, that short form content is a huge driver of audio consumption. And the USP that we have at YouTube is that on other platforms, it's kind of a huge ask to ask someone to listen to a song, like it so much that then they have to leave that viewing experience, then kind of remember the lyrics and go to Google, type in those lyrics, find out what the song is, and then go to their streaming platform. Or they have to then get another friend to Shazam what the song is, and then they have to leave anyway and then go to the streaming platform. What Shorts has is within 2 taps of watching that video and liking that song, in 2 taps, you're then watching the official music video or you're listening to the audio on YouTube Music. So it's that kind of end-to-end service that we're hoping will be completely game-changing for the industry.
So the thing I was going to ask about all those polls and the stuff with the channel, does that affect so you said 80% of views on things comes from recommendations. So do channels, if you've got high activity on your channel, does that affect the recommendation, the algorithm?
Yeah, so for uploading on youtube.com, I would recommend don't post on the same day, because then the algorithm has to favor one. Ideally space them at least 2 days apart. But the more content you're giving to the platform, the more the algorithm is going to be able to kind of trial what works and what doesn't. If you've got more balls to throw at the net, you're going to have more hits, right? That's kind of how it works. If you've just got one and you throw it and the algorithm doesn't pick it up, then okay, game over. But if you've got 10, you've got 10 more shots, and the algorithm will start understanding who your audience is and start tailoring which videos get showed to who, and then you'll start growing your fan base from there.
Okay, so just before we talk about some other stuff, there were some questions here. So let's do it. I am understanding correctly that YouTube Music has editorial playlists. How many people is that? So are they all algorithmic, or are there human?
Both.
Playlists?
We call it algatorial. So there's some that are purely algorithmic. Particularly ones we have like My Mix that are all about based on what you've listened to historically.
Yeah.
And then there are some that we have a team who choose the tracks that go into the playlist, but the order of the tracks is algorithmic. So Mark, you and I might go to the same playlist, but X artist is at the top for me, whereas Y artist is at the top for you.
Huh. Okay, cool. Is it possible to submit things for playlists on YouTube like the way you do it for other platforms?
So following this, I will send you the alias for our UK programming team.
Oh, good. There you go. Okay, great. So yeah, like just to reiterate there, we're going to send out some stuff, maybe with the link or whatever. I don't know what the plan is, but you have a load of extra information. So everybody who's subscribed to this and who's come, we'll get you all that. Now, so Abby's saying, what opportunities does YouTube give to independent artists and independent record labels, publishing companies? You sort of answer that by saying that everybody gets everything, really? You don't favor one company over another, do you?
No, we certainly don't. I would say, if anything, we make a conscious effort to super serve the indie community to make sure that they have the tools to succeed. I think last year we paid more to the indie community than we did to major record labels. In terms of like programs and offerings, which I think you're alluding to, we have programs like Foundry, the Foundry Fund, which I think the application's just closed, and that's a handful of artists. I think last year was 16 that we give financial support to. We give billboards, we give PR, we give priority internal opportunities. I think the good thing about YouTube is that because we're linked to Google, we've got opportunities within Pixel and Maps and Assistant and things like that. So programs like Found You are specifically for unsigned artists. And then we work with companies like the MMF, the Music Managers Forum, and we have it's called the Accelerator Program, where we fund a select number of independent managers on a 12, I think it's a 12-month program. But outside of the financials, we also give education as well. So it's almost like a school, and we tell them about kind of, well, we don't, but we bring people in to tell them about every element of the music industry, from live to payments, PRS and streaming and royalties and rights and revenue and things like that, so that they have the ability to become better managers. And then we have programs like Power Up, which is particularly focused on the Black community. So yeah, we do a lot, both on the artist side and on the manager side.
Thanks. And that was an extremely good question, because I thought the answer was simple. Oh, we do everything for everybody, but there's actually tons of artist-focused programs. So it was really good to go through all those. Mm-hmm. Then Mike, Greater X in Halifax, he's asked, Mike works at a label. We have different distributors in different territories. Can an artist get an OAC without going via one distributor? First off, what's an OAC?
Mm-hmm. Official artist channel. So that was the thing I was talking about before, where so it doesn't automatically happen. You will have your topic and you'll have the channel that you own. You need to kind of manually request it. But what was the question specifically?
The question was, can you get an OAC without going via one distributor? No,
you need to go through a distributor.
But can you go through any distributor, even if you've got multiple distributors?
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it matters which one you go through.
Mike, if you want to follow up on that,
yeah.
Mike, do you want to talk? Do you have it's because, but based on his question, it sounds like he's had trouble with this.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he's not around, so we'll deal with him later. Okay, that was good. Let me see here. Let's see here. Sorry, there's oh, here we go. Will artists be able to edit the back end of the Vivo music video on YT without the distributor?
Ooh.
Do you understand that question? I don't.
Well, it depends if you mean like edit the actual video after you've uploaded it, or if you mean like adding metadata and titles and descriptions.
Because what's the answer to that? You can't edit the video, but you can edit the metadata.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, once the video is uploaded, it's uploaded, and if you're not happy, then you have to re-upload it. But you can add, titles, descriptions, end cards, thumbnails. Okay,
Abby, come back if you need more info. Sorry, there's just been a lot of questions. Oh yeah, so very important. BTS was Bangtan Boys originally, and now it's Beyond the Scene. So now we've got that covered. That's very important.
I think that is the main takeaway for me personally.
Yeah. So Consuela, having to get 1,000 subscribers broadcast from a mobile is a right pain. It's not easy for non-established artists to get that many subscribers without a push from PR management label. That's not a question. That's more of a frustration, it seems. But that it is it 1,000? I thought it was only 100.
To go into the YouTube partner program, which is when you get revenue from ads, it's 1,000 subscribers, and is it 300 watch time hours for a year? Yeah, those are the two criteria. I don't know what to say back to that.
Okay, well, don't worry about it. Okay, so Mike's back, and of course he wasn't listening. So Mike, I'll summarize for you that you can go to any of your distributors to get an OAC. And Corbyn, what was your theory, that you could go to any of them? It doesn't matter which one.
Yeah, that was my theory.
Yeah. So Mike, you're just gonna, you can go to anyone, I guess. And then question, Consuelo, how an independent non-performing songwriter can get more subscribers to show music to appeal to labels, to get sync deals or establish artists to cover songwriter songs. Like, that's an interesting question. So how does an artist generate, like, encourage more music discovery on YouTube, say, versus other platforms? Is there anything different about it, or is it the same theory that
I think there's two ways to look at it. One, we talk about like leaning into trends. So see what's popular on the platform. Don't just stay in the music lane. If you're able to partner with, you know, a gaming creator, or if you're able to, I don't know, like when ASMR was a thing, like do that. Like go into trending and see what's trending, and get your channel to do that if it's appropriate, you know, and the artist is comfortable doing it. Because, you know, music only makes up a percentage of watch time on the platform. You know, gaming and sports and fashion and all these other verticals make up a lot of watch time. So if there's a way for your channel to play in those spheres, you should definitely do that. Then the other way is YouTube Shorts. It will tell you what tracks are trending. Actually, go to youtube.com/trending, find out what songs are trending right now for your market. You can change it by global, you can change it by market, and do covers of those. Or you in YouTube Shorts, like if you don't want to do a whole 3-4 minute cover, then just do like I don't know why I was up till 2 a.m. yesterday watching this YouTuber doing covers on YouTube Shorts, but he hooks me with like just the 30-second clip, and then I ended up subscribing to him. So,
okay, that's that's very good, because I think that's something everybody struggles with. It's like they're starting out and they don't know how to build context. They don't know which way to go, and I think that some of those ideas are really, really good. So Mike's come back. Go on. Sorry, you were going to say something.
I was just going to say, to close the loop on this, I saw Saskia say about tagging your videos as well. So yeah, you can do hashtags, make your metadata accurate. So put the lyrics in the description, put links to all your other social media platforms, have a link to subscribe to the channel at the end of the video. Make sure that you have a subscribe button. Make sure that you have a playlist at the end so people can watch more of your content. At the end of the day, the algorithm is going to kick in and it's going to send you somewhere else after watching. It's going to send the viewer somewhere else after watching your video. So make them stay on your channel by either subscribing or going into a playlist or going into your most recent music video, and title them correctly as well. So, and thumbnails as well. One, choose the right thumbnail, and two, don't choose a clickbaity thumbnail, because if you choose a clickbait one, you'll get some great views initially, but people will bounce out after the first 5 seconds because you've sold them a lie, and then the algorithm will deprioritize that video on that channel because it's not content that people are staying to engage with. And then the other thing is descriptions. Make sure the descriptions are accurate. So I see so many channels who have an official music video and they don't even say official music video at the end. How am I supposed to know as a viewer that this is the premium piece of content? And then a label will come to me and be like, why does the lyric video have more views than the official music video? And I'm like, well, they both say the exact same thing. How is anyone supposed to know which one was the one that we're supposed to do? Such a simple thing that everybody forgets to do.
Yeah. So because all what we've been discussing here is like best practices. And can we just talk a bit about like this idea, like why you're doing this? Like, because this is sort of this SEO, search engine optimization thing, right? That you as an artist or a label or as a manager need to help YouTube understand what it is that you're giving them, right? And I think like, because like titles and stuff, like explain what makes a good title, for example. Like, you know, I'm assuming all these affect your chances of getting more views. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, for a music video, it's pretty simple. Artist name, comma or colon, track title, then brackets, whatever it is, official music video, lyric video, acoustic performance. If it's episodic, make sure that you put the episode in it so people know where they're tuning in, and then put it into a playlist as well so that it flows into it flows in chronological order. We've already talked about descriptions. we've already talked about metadata and tagging, so I don't think there's too much to say on that otherwise. But you can also like trial different thumbnails, right? So try one. If you don't get as much views as the last one, try a different one. YouTube will automatically give you 3 options and predefined ones, but you can also create your own ones as well.
Okay. So, and Abby's just raised their hand. Yes. Hello. Your question.
Hey, how are you? How's everyone?
Good. Where are you dialing in from?
I'm in London.
Oh, nice. Where in London?
The big smoke.
I saw you last week. We were
Oh,
at a conference in Liverpool, so nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
But yeah, it's just going back to the YouTube videos, like the Vivo videos on YouTube. So before I was using Ditto, so I'd have to go through Ditto to edit anything like on the metadata of the music video. Is that still the case, or can we do this directly now?
You should be able to do it directly within YouTube Studio. Yeah.
Okay, so that's obviously if the Vivo is linked with the OAC, isn't it?
Yes. And there is a way to do that. Bear with me. I might just be able to put that in the chat right now, because I was just looking into that. You basically put the Vivo channel on the allow list of the original channel.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Corbyn, do you have anything else that was on your list of stuff you wanted to talk? Because we did the best practices. We talked about all the different things on the platform. I'm trying to think if there was anything else.
I think if I could leave anybody with action items, it would be one.
Oh, yes.
Try YouTube Shorts. One, try it as a consumer. You'll see it on the mobile app, like I said. Try creating YouTube Shorts. The great, like, the product is good now. It's going to get even better later on in the year. I was saying at the talk, and I've been noticed the other day, how I uploaded a YouTube short the other day. I'm not even a creator, and it got like 1,500 views, and the algorithm is just really excited about this short form content. And because there's not a huge amount of people making shorts at this moment versus other platforms, there's less fish in the pond to fight with. So it's an exciting time to give it a try and get used to it and get ahead of the curve before everybody else jumps on. So try YouTube Shorts from a user standpoint and a creator standpoint. Download the YouTube Studio app. A lot of people have other DSP analytics tools, but don't look at YouTube, and that will influence what time you do your premiere. So you might actually find out that a lot of your audience is in the US, so you don't really want to be premiering your video at 9 a.m. because that's gonna have negative kind of implications. So find out where your audience is using YouTube Studio. You can also, plan tours, find out which cities people are in the most.
Can you explain the studio app for people? Because I haven't heard of it. So give me an overview of what it does.
I wonder if I've got it here. I mean, you can't really see it, but yeah, no, not at all.
I can't. Well, sorry. Yeah, you definitely can't hear it if we're on audio.
No, well, exactly. So
he held up a phone. He held up a phone, and it was shining.
Of course.
I'm narrating for the podcast audience. Yeah.
So it essentially shows at a channel level and then at a video level how you're doing. How many views you're getting, where those views are coming from, the traffic source, the location, the demographic, the gender, and how it performs versus other releases as well. So it'll say, you are X% higher versus your last release. This is where your views are coming from. If, as I was saying, about 80% of views usually come from recommended. If you're getting less views from recommended, that's actually a good sign. That means that people are actively looking for your content. So if your traffic source is more like 75%, 70%, that means that people are, if you look at viewers as casual, as passive versus active, a passive viewer is someone who has been served your video as a recommendation and they've just stayed to watch it, or they've just listened to a track in a playlist. An active one is one who searched for your track or searched for you as an artist. So if it's lower than 80%, that means that people are actively looking for you as an artist, which is great. So yeah, YouTube Studio, take a look. I can also send over kind of a how-to tutorial on how to use it. It's actually pretty easy to use on a basic level, but I'll get that over to you as well.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much. And then, so Miriam, do independent creators channels which focus on music related projects, example, music theory, breakdown of a song, review of an album, help an official channel with increasing the long tail effect of their videos? So I'm assuming I'm assuming what she means is that it's sort of in reference also to your question above, like if you have interesting content that is not pure music, does that help? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's completely right, because you're getting into different spheres where your music wouldn't necessarily go to. Oh my god, my dog's barking for no reason. And then, yeah, if I think, and that's a really good, I was saying about cooking and gardening. One, topics that are kind of more music adjacent than completely unrelated are going to be in different bubbles, but the spheres are going to be closer to you as an artist. So I would 100% recommend that in terms of kind of increasing the ripple effect of the algorithm's reach.
Okay, cool. Well, I think that's, I'm just going to take one last scan, but I think we've answered all the questions, unless anybody wants to raise their hand. We've got a couple more minutes. But man, oh God, we covered quite a lot. So I think that's all I've got. That was super interesting because I didn't know about the studio thing. I didn't know what an OAC was, a BTS. I didn't know there was so much to do, and I honestly thought videos were still super important. Like I'm in the dark. Like I totally.
Well, now you're in the light.
Yeah, exactly. No, I really appreciate it. Like, thanks so much. It was brilliant. As I said, I pay for YouTube. I love it. I think it's brilliant. So it was fun to learn a lot more. And so to recap, everybody, this is going out as a podcast, so don't worry if you didn't take notes. And then Corbyn's going to forward us some information that we're going to get out to all of you. Corbyn's posted his email in the chat. You know where to get a hold of me. You know where to get a hold of us. So if anybody has any questions, let us know. But otherwise, thanks everybody for coming. It was great to see you. And we'll talk soon. Hello, goodbye, Adrian. Hello, goodbye.
Thanks
you
so much
Corbyn.
for having me. Thank you, Consuelo.
See you later.